Okay, welcome back, everybody. This is the Convo with your most fabulous host, Adam Alaric, myself, and I have really fabulous co-hosts today. Today we have Marco here. Marco, say something.
I am a ghost now.
And Piotr.
Good afternoon. I am not a ghost.
Well, that's good. Okay, so today we got some hot topics. So today we're going to start off with two antis, anti-Semitism and anti-vaccination. What do you guys want to start with first? I think anti-Semitism.
Yeah, let's get the bad one out of the way first.
Yeah, let's get the extreme one out of. Well, both are pretty extreme.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so anti-Semitism. Well, what we know is in the House Committee on Foreign Affairs in the U.S. Congress, we have Ilhan Omar, a U.S. Congresswoman from Minnesota, and she has been posting some pretty, I would say, controversial tweets on Twitter, obviously. And so she refers to, for example, the GOP, the Republican Party, as taking money from many, I'd say, the Jewish lobby parties, such as AIPAC. And basically, the only reason why Republicans, and by a stretch conservatives, are pro-Israeli is because of the money. Is because of the so-called, and to quote, Jew gold that she has, made many interviews with she has made a lot of interviews with people who claim that, who say that, the Republicans are just taking money and that's the only reason why they're supporting Israel, that they're corrupt. Now, here's the thing. Let's break this down into a first issue. Is America anti-Semitic?
You want me to give the whole...
Just, what do you guys think?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
there are probably plenty of people in the United States who are anti-Semitic and who think that the Jews control the world and own everything. And but those people are pretty, I think, a minority and pretty idiots and ignorant.
Well, that's like around the world. That's not just Americans, I think. So.
Well, it's a stereotype, maybe hurtful stereotype, for sure.
But the controversy started with her retweeting a journalist who was complaining about how people like to attack Ilhan Omar because she's always complaining about Israel and how these GOP people are trying to stifle free speech in America but defend Israel. And she said, "Oh, it's all about the Benjamins, baby," as in why why they had to attack her. And I would say she was doing a good job at maybe starting a discussion about and focusing on criticism that needs to be focused on, especially the Israeli government and Netanyahu, who's made some pretty controversial laws. But then she kind of very ignorantly points out that the only reason why they get support from the United States is because they're lobbying and paying for that support, which she was rightfully, ostracized for, and unfortunately, people are calling for her job, which I don't think she needs to lose her job over that. I do think the apology was kind of half-hearted because, she said, I'm sorry for these comments and that hurt people, but we need to focus on politics and money, just like the Israeli pact, which doesn't actually give any money to politicians. And then she also lumped them in with NRA and other pretty nasty, like coal.
And it's funny what you said, because you said and I read this in The Guardian as well. She did issue an apology, which is in that nature that you stated, that, oh, I am sorry for offending people. I didn't want to put it like this, but, and everything, and as we all know, everything that you say before the word "but" is horse bleep, basically.
Yeah, but in my opinion, what surprised me the most is from which party she's coming. She's Democrats, which they protecting liberalism, right? They still criticizing Trump about his opinion towards the Arab minorities, right? And then it comes out one woman, which she's coming from Somalia, and she's claiming the anti-Semitic rhetoric, right? And what surprised me also, it was that those people in United States, maybe she don't play as huge role but she's the food for the anti-Semitics. You know, like when you see someone higher speaking those kind of words, you feed this criticism towards anti-Semitism. That's also like surprised me that, you know, in Poland, for example, if such a case would happen, for sure it would already, the government would take some action to solve this problem, to explain and bring this person to the justice, right? In here, she just apologized. So, you know, and the person which is like from the Democratic Party, which protecting the liberal rights, that's what surprised me the most. The liberal and the Democrats, which they keep criticizing Trump for his rhetoric, right?
Well, that's the thing, but this is actually an important and I would say unofficial law that the idea of intersectionality. And because she is higher on the intersectionality scale, there's this theoretical scale of whether you belong to a certain amount of groups. So, for example, Ilhan Omar, who happens to be a woman from the Middle East,
and the first woman from Somalia in Congress.
Let's break it all down. She's a woman. That's higher than a man on the intersectionality scale. She is a woman of a darker skin tone, which I have noticed. Which is also higher on the intersectionality scale. And also she happens to be of a, you know, she's not a Christian, which is also, and Christians, basically in the intersectionality scale, it's on the very, very bottom you have Jews, and below them are white Christian males. That's basically the whole intersectionality scale. The top of the intersectionality scale is when you're a woman of a transgender nature, and you happen to be maybe black, and you know you happen to belong to all these kind of groups of people which are allegedly victimized. So this is in all a big shortcut of intersectionality. And because from this theory of intersectionality, Jews are lower than, for example, Muslims or, for example, other religions that are a bit higher on the intersectionality scale. It seems that because Trump is saying so much bad things about, you know, Latinos, about immigrants from the Middle East, it seems that he's attacking a higher in importance group on this intersectionality scale, while Jews, according to the scale, are lower and therefore less important. Now, what do you guys think? Do you think that this intersectionality scale, which I basically summarized, if you guys heard of it, do you guys think that this indeed has a role in today's politics in the U.S., or rather is it more of like a overblown media coverage?
Well, I would agree on that, indeed, because when you're looking even on the political correctness and who have the privilege to use those slogans according to the political correctness, usually are those groups which you mentioned. You don't usually see the white person, Christian, as you say, like in the lowest scale, which he's protesting over some sort of abuse towards his nation, towards his look or something like that, right? Usually you hear about like first Arab minority, after the Jews, and usually the Christian minorities in the Muslim countries, like they are just mentions, and like we have to see how many Christians, for example, dying in the Muslim countries just because their own belief, right? So yeah, I do agree with you that like it plays huge role in the politics, like as we see on her example even, and how huge support she get, because like in my opinion, in some countries such as Poland, it doesn't matter like from which party she would come, like people would get offended by her words, but still I think Democrats should apologize for what she's claiming, because if you are like signing up for some party, you are also claiming their values, their agenda, and I think it's totally like out of agenda of Democrats, which is like, for example, which we've seen like during the elections between Trump and Hillary Clinton, right? What she was claiming and how she was attacking Trump. So
I think that it's probably more problematic institutionalized in that system, in that it's nice. The good thing about this new Congress that was voted in is that a lot of women, a lot of minorities, a lot more looking like what the American population is instead of these old white men. And a lot of them feel empowered by that. It's like we finally giving a voice to a population that previously didn't have a voice in politics.
Which population are you referring to?
Women, minorities.
Well, then in theory, if we want to have it fully representative, then all of Congress should be women with one man, due to the population demographics.
I don't think that's the population demographics of the United States. But
Well, 12%, for example, 12% of the American population, 12 to 14, is of African Americans.
Okay, yeah.
Then shouldn't, for it to be more representative, shouldn't 12% of, for example, the social of the news, of the anchors in the news, of Congress, of the government be black?
No.
By that logic?
But
No.
should be that extreme? I don't think so.
No.
It should be that extreme.
Exactly.
That,
I don't
like,
think it
for
should be
example,
formulated like that, but I think there needs to be more representation of those groups of people.
But we
in order
already
to
have a representative of the Muslim women, which is
there's two.
there's two. There's Ilhan Omar and her last name is Talib. I forgot her. I forgot for her.
Yeah, I don't know either.
And we have the most
name.
representative minority, like last presidency, right? Like when we see Obama on the office,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So
But there's also the whole. I don't even know how to call it. I wouldn't call it controversy. But when they were sworn in, Ilhan Omar and the other congresswoman were actually taking their oath on the Quran.
Yeah, and then there was one woman who's from my home state of Arizona, who I'm blanking on her name now, but she took she's non-religious. She took a oath on the U.S. Constitution, which is I thought pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. But here's the reason why I brought up why they were being sworn in on the Quran is not because I have a problem with it. It's because I'm questioning whether it's okay to be sworn, because they were Ilhan Omar was sworn on no, not her, the other congresswoman was sworn in on her own personal Quran rather than Thomas Jeffersonian Quran. Now, do you think that there's a degree of, I'd say, how would you describe this situation? Because it seems to me Congress becomes way more individual right now rather than representative.
I think it's more a problem of the Democratic Party, whereas you have a lot of these people who won in slightly conservative places that are more, say, centric Democrat, while you also have these people like Cortez, who won in a very liberal place, and she's kind of coming from a very liberal socialist standpoint. Whereas you have this very far left Democrat, and yet you have these people who are trying to hold on to their more conservative, more centrist positions, who have to won close elections, mainly because people are kind of sick of Donald Trump.
Rashida Tlaib, there we go.
But
The other Muslim woman.
I would be
congresswoman.
My home senator is Christian Sinema, who's also bi.
Is she a Christian?
No, she's
Well, that's very,
she's
the name for itself is
non-religious.
pretty-
I would like be afraid, since you mentioned the Congress and it becoming way more divided, and I think it's really threat towards the bipartisan system, because last situation shows us like what are conclusions of like the situation when like there's dispute in a Congress, in the bipartisan Congress, right? Because like when you have like a multi-party system, then when you have some dispute, there is like some alliance coalitions between parties and they are winning, and here there is not such a lack of hope for it. Like for 1 month, then it was shut down of the Congress, and I think this is like just preludium towards the other disputes which can happen because of the division in which happening right now in the Congress. As you said, there is like far left, far right, centrics, all of them. They are like packed in the like just two parties. That's I think dangerous when it comes to the bipartisan system. That those people are not as equal as they were, like in their thoughts, in the political thoughts, as they were before.
Yeah, and even George Washington famously, when he left office, warned about a two-party system. But unfortunately, it's kind of been entrenched in United States politics. I mean, it's nice when you have some sane people as the head of each party, because they kind of do a great job of organizing votes and organizing their party. And fortunately, like yesterday, they just passed a huge conservation bill that, 1.3 million acres of land is. So there's things like that they they can cooperate on, and then there's, unfortunately, there's, even though I was reading an article about her comments and how people have been reacting to it, and even people who've made similar comments to hers in the past were, trying to jump on the boat of criticizing her. So it's just like Trump. He's calling for her to resign, and yet he's made some very critical comments.
Well, but here's the thing, because Congress is, in fact, a very, I'd say, it's one of the most important entities in the U.S. governmental system, right? For example,
it's an equal branch.
Well, I wouldn't say so, because remember when it's in charge of basically funding of it.
Yes.
So essentially, it's all about the decision making. So here's the thing: when Barack Obama was president, and he did not have the best relations with Netanyahu of Israel, we had a tendency to see that whenever Netanyahu, and he visited a couple times, he would usually come to the Congress, not to Barack Obama himself.
Yeah, that one instance where he wasn't invited by Obama, and that he made a trip to Congress was previously, I don't think it was done before, because you usually invited by the president, and then Congress also invites you to speak in front of Congress, which was very controversial because he never really had a great relationship with Netanyahu, and it was kind of like the Republicans jabbing Obama.
Back to the issue at hand with the whole anti-Semitism. Do you think that this anti-Semitic rhetoric that Ilhan Omar demonstrates, and she has been demonstrating this since, you can go back into her tweets of 2012, 2013. For example, she claimed in a tweet in 2012 that the Jews are manipulating the world in a way, and that they're lying to the world, and that they're not really who they are. Here's the thing: do you guys think that this tendency is a symptom of Trump-esque tweets, or rather is it this sort of just, it has always been within people's nature? Because we have seen Trump's specific tweets, but they're not of this caliber. You don't see Trump tweeting out, swear words to all this minority group, or today I'm gonna make sure that
didn't he call all Mexicans criminals?
He didn't say that directly. He said that Mexico is bringing a lot of bad people, which is specifically targeting a certain entity and who it's bringing in. He didn't say that, Mexicans are all bad people, He just said that, I remember that speech because it was at a rally or something.
It was his first...
I would say that it's like sort of ricochet towards the rhetoric of Trump, right? I mean, his decisions of moving the embassies, the policy towards Israel, right? Like, I think this is the ricochet towards his policy and his words. I mean, like, we cannot say who started this first, because as you mentioned, like, all of those tweets since 2012, same as Trump, right? But like, I think this is just fight between both of them for the more electors. That's it.
I think the Democrats are unable to repeat what Trump has done, because he has, with his tweets, with his rhetoric, has gained a following of people who think. He has gained a following of people who think alike, not exactly. But what I notice the Democrats seem to do is try to replicate the same thing, but go overboard. That's why one of the reasons why I think Hillary lost, because she isolated a lot of the undecided, a lot of the purple states, for example, because she started calling them racist and sexist if they support Trump. That's going overboard.
I disagree. You're kind of going into what Trump does successfully in terms of reaching out to his base. But I'd like to go back to the anti-Semitism and say that it's not, I don't think her statements aren't a result of him. They're not together. Her statements, I think, have always been there. Her way of thinking that, Jews are get support by paying people off, that they control everything. I think that's one of these, unfortunately, things that have lasted, decades, if not centuries, type of thoughts that have been disproven time and time again. But unfortunately, people still like to dispute those lines. And I think that it's interesting with him because he's made some comments. He hasn't really wanted to call out people who've supported anti-Semitism, but yet he has a lot of people, like his son-in-law, his daughter, who, for many people said is his most favorite child, is Jewish. So there's this.
Jewish.
No, she's converted to Judaism.
Yeah, okay, but she's not. But therefore, she's not fully Jewish.
No, you can. I don't know. I wouldn't. Qualify that as not being, like, she says she's.
But here's the thing: in Judaism, and I'm going to make a digression. In Judaism, if you're born Jewish, if you're born to a Jewish family and you are Jewish, if you convert to Christianity, you are still a Jew. But you're Christian.
Yeah, because in Christianity, when you're like,
I don't know.
you want to go out from the Christian church, you have to apply for the Pope to the Pope, like the special letter. It's the excommunic. That's how you call it this in Polish. I don't know how it's in English.
Man.
But I wanted to mention like really famous philosopher right now. He's claiming the extreme thoughts, but one I like it.
Bob Ross?
No, Slavoj Žižek.
Happy choice.
Slavoj Žižek, but he claimed, since he's leftist, and I was really surprised what he claimed. He said of what he's afraid is that the far-right populism is not as dangerous as leftist populism, because leftist populism can become ideology, and that's what is a danger behind the leftist populism.
But why can't right-wing populism be also an ideology?
Wait, hold on, Piotr, but what if the opposite is true?
What if
What if the opposite is true? 'Cause Slavoj
you mentioned
Žižek-
Slavoj Žižek.
Exactly.
Slavoj Žižek, of course, would say that. No, but like it wakes up to you. It wakes up your thinking. Like, what would happen if that? Because now we are keep criticizing the right-handed, right? Like right side populism.
the
But like
right-handed people,
but we don't see the leftism populism, which is right now like awaking, and it's even can be more dangerous. We don't see the danger yet.
Yeah,
so
but what can you say? Like Norway, Sweden is leftism populism. Like their systems are,
they're not socialist.
but those systems are what leftists want.
Yeah, but they don't realize that. First of all, it's an extremely homogeneous society, small population.
Yes,
and
they have a lot of natural resources that allow them to have this very expansive.
They're essentially a democracy with free markets that have socialist tendencies. They have socialist programs.
Yes,
but they're not a socialist country. Look, a socialist country is, let's see, Cuba, Venezuela.
No, that's just dictatorships. I wouldn't say it's socialism.
But the government. You're saying the government doesn't know the means of production.
I would say democratic socialism, maybe, if that's what you want.
No, come on.
No, because that's not socialism.
Okay, so basically you're saying
Neither,
every socialist
you can't
country
say
is dictatorship.
You can't say China is a communist country either.
Well,
It's
Maoism is a form of communism.
Yeah, but they don't really follow Maoism.
They don't follow Mao.
They
but
just
you can't say they're free markets.
It's just a one-party dictatorship.
Okay, but does the government own the means of production? It does.
But that's a dictatorship also.
Well, then we can put.
No,
an
it doesn't
equal
follow
sign
I don't think it
between
follows.
socialism and communism.
I think communism is what was put down by Lenin. And
no, that's Marxism. Marx put down socialism. Lenin has Bolshevism, bro.
Bolshevism, and after comes Stalin with
with
the most extreme way of Stalinism.
Here's the thing.
But I don't think he got along with Lenin. I think he pushed Lenin out of the country and he ended up killing him.
When Lenin died, he made a purge on Leninists.
Yes.
On the remaining Leninists, and which was weird because it's essentially
like he created this system. Yeah.
Okay, guys. I think enough of that because anti-Semitism ends up in socialism and communism. So whatever.
Sorry for mentioning leftist populism.
No, it's fine. The more the better. Here's the thing. Let's talk about since we still have a little bit more time. Let's talk about anti-vaccinations and all that weird crowd. So personally, I'm a person who supports vaccinations. Because I feel that I'm 23 years old, and I think I did pretty well in life so far, health-wise, because I was vaccinated.
Yeah,
me
too. I'm like, when last time you were sick?
Plus, you have this really cool mark on your
of
things.
course.
Yeah.
You have that?
Yeah, those little things on here.
Oh, it's polio, right?
No, not polio.
No, it's a polio vaccination.
No, but
it's like few of them. It's not just polio. It just leave the mark.
It's just the needle kind of leaves that mark.
That.
Yeah, because we in Poland had those thick ass needles that would kind of like penetrate.
And everyone was like,
See, my understanding about it was different because I thought it was a polio shot that leaves that mark. Because my dad has it, and he was like one of the last generations in the U.S. to get that shot, and it leaves like a little like scar in your arm.
I have like 3 of those.
Oh.
Maybe I have 3 polio shots. I don't know. No, but here's the thing. Why are people assuming that vaccines cause autism or all of the other serious disorders, which are not funny,
Actually, I have like the really good explanation. It's the anti-vaccination movement we can drive from 90s when it was one famous Hollywood actress with the kid, which he was like sick for autism, right? And she found it in some really famous newspaper. I would need it to dig up like really in my notebook because I've looked for this article. it was claimed by one doctor in really famous journal, medical journal, that vaccine might cause the mental problem, right? As like, for example, as you mentioned, autism. And because of her fame, because of her like, I mean,
I
the
know who
position,
you're talking about.
because of her position, which she like have because of the Hollywood, she make this anti-vaccine movement really famous, because everyone started to claiming that, like, oh, when she's saying that her kid is sick, so like it's true because it was published in this famous medical journal, and that's where it all started. Then it shut down because, you know, then it was not like people didn't have like that huge access to internet as we do have right now. And right now it's like again the second phase of the anti-vaccines, because right now we are living in the era of fake news, right? We are living in the clickbait era, so that's why it wakes up, and you know, it brings like the viewers to towards some websites, which, you know,
creates a bubble.
I mean, I completely agree with you, Piotr. I think the society today has become so stupid that we are unable to think ourselves.
I don't think it's stupid.
I think it's pretty stupid because
it is stupid.
Like to generalize.
No, I like to generalize, because in this case, if we assume that people are basically looking, if I, for example, would be a parent, I'm not, so I can't really say 100%. But here's the thing: a lot of people, it's because of cognitive bias. A bias that kind of anything that skews your vision into looking at a particular direction and searching for certain facts, as well as comprehensive bias, a confirmation bias, sorry, which is anything that fits with your line of thinking is therefore true because you approve of it. Now, here's the thing: a lot of people out there who have children assume that, oh, because my child is not developing properly, it must be, I have to therefore look for the something that could have impacted, because I'm perfect, you know, because I'm a perfect parent and I don't do anything wrong. So they look at the thing that has something to do with the child's health, which is a vaccine. And then they point out, aha, this vaccine is the closest thing that had anything to do with my child. Therefore, it is not stupid. It is logical. Therefore, it is logical to
It's not my fault. It's someone else's fault.
It is exactly. It's not my fault. Maybe, and here's the thing. Humans love blaming something. They hate blaming nothing. We always have to have a reason for something. We can never just assume, oh, it's a coincidence. Oh, maybe it just happens. You know, maybe genes just aligned themselves like that, you know, while developing.
Yeah, my child was perfect until he got the vaccination.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, and then there's, as Piotr mentioned, there's a lot of people out there on the internet with the social media, with the fake news, that are encountering each other on social media, and they're like, "Hey, I also think that the doctor gave my son
because like
autism,
in 90s, in 90s, that's why it shut down, because you know you had just like the TVs, you know, on the TV that like some information that like the famous Hollywood actress claimed that like vaccines cause autism of her child, and everyone could like in the home just discuss this. But then it was not the era of Facebook, when like then you're gonna have news. The famous Hollywood actress claims that the vaccines cause the autism of her child, and then you have billions of the comments under this that like me too, I do agree with that.
Yeah, and because
like
they're famous, they get a wider reach. So you can see that I think people now are. It seems, and why I am generalizing that you, Marco, opposed here, but it's fine. You know, we're all
I'm just trying to.
No, I know what you mean. But here's the thing. Sorry to interrupt you, but here's the thing. People became more stupid in a way that they stopped thinking, because their role models, their spiritual leaders, have now become presidents and celebrities. Obama was both. He was both the president and celebrity, and therefore he was a thought leader. People assume that he's the greatest person in the world. I'm not saying he was bad, but to look to your president is as if I would be looking towards my president, is as if, Marco, you would be looking towards Trump as a thought leader. You don't do that. You look to great people as thought leaders. You look to people who are not expecting fame, not expecting, you know, they're just smart because they make sense.
I mean, like right now we are living in an era, check on the old campaigns which are going on. For example, even in Poland, the new politician party Wiosna, made by the Biedroń, the Robert Biedroń.
We talked about it.
Yeah, it's same, right? It's same. It's because of he's famous. He's starting like, you know, get likes. People knew him before those like holding this new politician party.
The Spring
Party.
Party?
That's how it's the Spring Party. Yeah. That's how it's going on. Like it's same with Trump. Trump, it's not just a politician. He's a celebrity, because I think we could go back to the first campaign of Justin Trudeau, because in my opinion, he was the person which started that, like with this campaign made on the funny spots, commercial. It's like they don't even focusing on their plan, what they're trying to do, but like on the visual effect, how it's gonna sell,
I mean, here's the thing. It's all about attention,
Yeah, and then, like that's the problem of the anti-vaccines, that people starting to believe in that because someone under his comment gonna say me too, and then he's like feeling this approval towards this what he's thinking,
There's also no scientific, unless you're referring to quasi-scientific. There's no scientific evidence that there's a direct causation of vaccines and autism. And here's the thing: who is at risk here the most? Is it the parents' ego? Like, no. I won't be able to fit in my book club anymore.
Because they were probably vaccinated as kids.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just most...
They're the ones able to make the decision because they were vaccinated. Mm-hmm. So who are they to suddenly say, oh, you know what? I'm going to decide for another human being. Well, okay, it's your son. Fine. You have custody.
No, but it doesn't only affect that individual. Like, it would be fine if it was like your kid that was only affected. But it's not only your kid. It's every other kid, baby out there that doesn't have the vaccinations yet because you're too young to get them, that you're potentially harming. And that's why... These people should be put in prison.
Just your kids. You're not harming just your kids because of the form that you are not putting vaccine for your kid. It like encourage other parents to do the same, and that's how it's like spreading.
Here's the thing, and this is a very important thing, and this is a scientific fact. Vaccines do not prevent you from getting a disease, but the more people that are vaccinated have therefore a greater chance of not getting the disease. Or of the disease not spreading.
I think
because here's the thing: if you have a child who's vaccinated and a child who's not vaccinated, there's a high chance of that child, of the not vaccinated child, transferring a certain disease towards the other child. But once you have more vaccinations, there's a lower probability overall that there's a spread.
They should in my opinion, for the all anti-vaccination movements, they should show the pictures of polio. And the iron lungs, that should wake up how it looks really like the invasion of polio in states, how those people were really suffering in those iron lungs. I think it's still few people alive which they are still stuck to the one bed for whole their life because of the polio.
But Piotr, that's a I'm with you there, but that's also a dangerous zone because it's with that line of logic, then anti-abortionists should be able to show the pictures of unborn babies, and not everyone wants to see that.
Yeah, but you wanna, compare the anti-abortion, abortion with anti-vaccine,
Well, it's a child at stake.
Yeah, but with vaccines, the parents have choice to decide, either he's gonna take the vaccine or they're not. With the abortion in most of the countries, not parents but the government first have to decide it, right?
No, but there's 30 years of evidence of research gone into vaccines that prove that they don't do autism or they don't make kids sicker.
It's the exact opposite. Of the one article.
If you can't see that evidence and believe it, there's something really wrong with you.
I think
you shouldn't really be in a position to even maybe raise a child, because what else are you not believing that has 30 years of evidence that it's not?
I think we would need to invite someone who's really the pro anti-vaccine.
Well, I don't want to break the microphones because we're gonna end up shouting at each other. But the thing is, also those people are not fully aware. Here's the thing: it's what I said before. Those people are very biased. They're not open to a discussion because they already have their own skewed vision, their own skewed way of looking at things. So and you're not gonna convince them.
That's sad.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to be, for example, an a-hole to hey man, look at this evidence. This is not. And they're gonna be.
Is that a recent phenomenon? Do you think, or is that something that's always been there? They just never had a voice because of the internet.
I think it's what you're saying. It always has been here, but it hasn't been as voiced. I don't think people realize that their neighbor might think the same way because of social media. So I think definitely social media is giving voice and a rise to
crazy people.
As we were saying before,
because they existed before, but they didn't have a voice.
We were saying media, it's fourth power. I think now it's changed, and right now the social media. This is the fourth power of the world. I think
I heard this one comedian kind of talk about social media, and the crazy people. And it's like there's always one guy in that town who's like the one person in that town is crazy. Yeah. But yeah, with social media now they can all get together and they all can be crazy together. So it's like
turns out he was the only one sane. Okay, so let me lob a question at you. Let's shift this topic and let's come towards an end.
Surprise one.
So guys, winter in Warsaw. What do you guys think? I love how every time I'm asking you a question, you guys go like simultaneously because you guys don't know. Okay, so now let me tell you what pisses me off about winter in Warsaw.
Because it doesn't
the general
exist.
laziness of two things, of removing snow from sidewalks and roads. It's basically a guy with a piece of stick moving around and saying like, yeah, that'll do. And he basically removes snow from like one brick. And so then you have, older people and other people running towards their buses, flipping and, landing on their faces. So that sucks. And second of all, it annoys me but it shouldn't because that's how it is. The use of sand instead of, for example, salt.
I can explain that one.
Now, here's the thing.
Because
hold on. That's my thing that annoys me. You guys have to find your own.
Oh, okay.
So, it annoys me. I mean, you can comment on what I say. But here's the thing. When you throw sand, and it's also not even equal. It's just some guy, throwing just sand like, the priest in the church with his the broomstick with holy water, and he's not even like aiming. He throws it on the ground, on the road. He aims everywhere but the sidewalk. So first of all, there's no sand. Second of all, when the sand and snow combine and it melts, it turns into mud, basically into sludge, which is disgusting. And third of all, like, come on, sand, really? Okay, I agree. Salt damages tires. It damages your shoes, and it's bad for the little doggies that walk in the snow and they have to.
But the damage also, like the salt plus water plus oxygen.
Effective.
Yeah, but like look on your car after like the winter, like with the salt.
Don't use the public transport then. Oh, and second of all, public transport is a mud show. Basically, there's nothing but mud in the bus in the public.
No,
transport.
but I wanted to mention that like cars became like it's easier to
wash your car then. Well, if you have a car,
but it also kills trees, kills vegetation.
You guys are face palming. Hold on. If you have a car, that means you have enough responsibility to take care of it. Fuel and parking spot. Why don't have this extra centimeter of responsibility and I don't know, clean it, wash it.
Yeah, and I am cleaning, but it's still like the danger because like the salt it make it faster the erosion of the metal.
Okay, so I assume you just want to have a car accident because you drift on a turn and hit people rather than have a little corrosion on your car. Okay, what is annoying you guys? Aside from me, in
Warsaw. Like for me, Warsaw during the winter is the most depressive city ever.
Yeah.
Like it's so gray. I mean, even if they would wash all the palace of culture, it would be still gray and depressive. Like I've been in many countries during the winter and it doesn't look like that. In Poland, as you mentioned, it's mud. Everything is gray. The windows are gray. Everything is gray. Everyone is sad. Everyone wears dark. As like literally, it like everyone looks like they are going for a funeral and they're sad face. And it's also because of the timing of the day. Like, come on, they start at 8, finish at 4 p.m. and then it's like you're going to the job, you're looking from the window and saying like, what a beautiful day, and then you're going out, it's the night. So like what you're doing, you're going to the pub and that's it. And that's how you're spending like most of your weekends.
And one small comment.
Sounds like a fun weekend actually.
Everyone's depressed because there's mud, and there's mud because everyone's depressed. Because nobody's happy enough to clean it.
Well, you know what is making me like I'm always laughing of those like poor guys, which they're like cleaning the sidewalks out of the snow when it's snowing as hell, and it's like, man, it's the Sisyphean work.
It's like watering your plants when it's raining.
Yeah,
I agree. Marco, what about you?
You took mine actually.
Well, find another one. I put you on the spot.
Mine was gonna be how dark it gets at night.
I was thinking like, that the beer is not as enjoyable.
No, the beer is good. That's what's good about it.
No, but in the summertime it's better.
Oh man, summertime.
Anything about summertime. Like hanging
sadness.
outside and drinking a beer is nicer than hanging inside of a pub, like smushed together with other people trying to drink a beer. I guess like how dry it gets. Like if you go outside to inside, my lips always like chapped.
Oh yeah.
My skin's always feel like I'm like flaky.
Use moisturizer, man.
I know, but it's
yeah, but men don't take care of their hygiene. I know what you mean. That's very manly. Me neither.
No.
No,
Should.
but like what
Hygiene's
is
good.
also bad, like when you're coming back home and you're like having like 5 layers of a clothes on you, and then you have to take it out everything, and you need, and exactly in that
See, I don't mind
timing
that.
What?
I hate that.
I like, there's some nice jackets, like scarves are
but
kind
when
of cool. Like,
I
it's a
miss
nice
the
way to
times-
accessorize. Like,
I miss the times
get some Timberlands.
during summer when you woke up, put on a shirt, and then you're debating. My biggest problem was, should I put on a sweatshirt or can I go in my shirt? Those are the type of problems I like to face. Not whether, should I wear another coat on my coat?
Or should I wear like this scarf, or like this scarf is gonna be too hot to me? Like
Plus,
today,
it doesn't
I
match.
went out with like sneakers on, and then I saw that it was snowing because it didn't snow last night. I had to go back, put snow boots
Just
on.
today I had a complete.
But
mind
it's
F.
okay. It's like,
I woke up around 8. I saw outside it was white, and I came back to. I went like, after 5 minutes, I look out and it's gray, and I'm thinking to myself,
I saw this funny photo of like the colors of Poland in the wintertime, and just like different shades of gray. It's like that's really true.
right. Well, those are some things that indeed grind our gears.
But we're almost done with winter, so a couple more months.
We're almost done. Hopefully next time it's going to be a bit warmer and we're going to be complaining a lot less. But no, not for.
Well, I can't wait for our summer and go next to the Vistula River again. That's what you miss always in Warsaw.
We don't advise bringing beverages with you, but we know you will. So guys, thanks a lot. If you guys could also, conclude yourself with what your name is and what your hobbies are, and then we can, bounce.
All right. Marco.
Polo.
Yeah, I get that a lot. But I'm not related to Marco Polo, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay. Piotr.
Well, Piotr. Like already you mentioned my name. So
yeah,
like
but just repeat it just for confirmation.
So Piotr, that's my name. Some conclusion towards our discussion today.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we mentioned anti-Semitism in states, and as my conclusion is, as Slavoj Žižek said, I'm gonna repeat it: leftist populism is way more dangerous towards the winter in Warsaw. We hope it's gonna end up fast. And what we mentioned else?
Okay, and I'm gonna finish with the opposite is true. So
the opposite is true, as Slavoj Žižek said.
So thanks guys for coming. That was awesome. See you guys next week.
Thank you.